Aloha, Cravenites. I'm Lynn McCree. I played Maureen Prescott in Wes Craven's Scream trilogy. And you're watching Craven Something Scary.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Craven Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Well, tonight is a real treat, guys. I'm always excited when I get to have my friend Alan Robinson back on the channel. He is an amazing guy, so humble. And, for those of you that have seen previous streams here on this channel, you already know. And many of you here, this is your first time to see Alan. So you're going to get to meet him and get some insight into some incredible films that Alan has worked on. And of course, Scream 2, guys, come on. One of the best horror sequels of all time. And yes, he is Mr. Ghostface. Oh, it's going to be fun. So go ahead and begin to get your questions or comments sent in for Alan right now in the chat. Now remember, super chats move to the front of the line. You're always going to get moved right up first. And I promise you that every super chat question will get answered or addressed by Alan on this stream while we're live. All right. Everyone else's comments, I will do my very best. But because of time and volume, sometimes it's impossible to get to every question. So don't take it personal. But you do have the option of a super chat to ensure that your question or comment will be addressed. And hey, you know what else it does? Helps support the channel, guys. And I greatly appreciate that. Helps me to do more things and grow the channel to bring you more amazing events like tonight. So I really appreciate that if you are able. All right, I want to give a shout out to Sarah Parker. Sarah, that's somebody else. Sarah Campbell and Julie in the chat who are moderating tonight. I appreciate you both very much. They will be posting links to Alan's Instagram, his website, and to a very amazing event that we will be discussing a little bit later on. And so stay tuned for that. But I think that's everything covered. I want to just give a blanket hello to everyone. We do have limited time with Alan tonight, so I'm going to be respectful of our agreement on his time here tonight. So I'm not going to, rather than just calling everyone out by name, I'm just going to say hey to all of you. And I know you're here. If you leave a chat, I see it. All right. So guys, without further delay, please give a warm welcome in the chat and a hello to my friend and my special guest, Mr. Alan Robinson. What's up, Alan?
Hello. Hey.
It's so good to see you. Hey,
can you hear me okay?
I hear you good. Sounds great.
Good. Technology is on our side tonight. Right on. And I'm so excited about being on here tonight with you, Stephen. This show is always fun. I love the questions. So keep them, get them rolling because I love the answer.
Well, that's awesome, Alan. That means a lot to me, brother. And I am thrilled that you made the time tonight to come hang out with us again. It's always awesome. And Sarah says, welcome back, Alan. It's always amazing when you come visit. Yes.
Sarah, you're so cool. You're so cool. Now, do you have anything special hung on your wall, Sarah, that I might recognize or know about?
Yeah, I think she does. That was so cool. That was so cool. That worked out.
Yeah.
Okay, so Alan, let's start here, man. Let's start here because there are a lot of folks that, oh, by the way, she says I sure do. That's right.
I know that you do.
Yeah, that's right. But I would like to just kind of go back because I love your story on how you started in the film business. It's so cool to me. Starting out, I won't say, I'll let you say it, but the way your career started, could you just kind of let us know where it began for you again? For those that haven't heard it.
Yeah, you bet. Everybody starts in a different place in their career or whatever you're doing, but mine just happened to be in the summer of 1890. No, in 1985, I was early 20s, and I didn't have a job. I didn't have a career. I was just doing fun things to make a living. I was a bartender. I was a snow ski instructor. I was just, and that summer I answered a newspaper, if anybody knows what those are, but I entered a newspaper ad because that's how we got jobs. They had want ads, and it said stuntman wanted, will train, and it was for a live gunfighter show in a place called Stone Mountain Park, which is outside of Atlanta, Georgia. And it was just for the summer, being a gunfighter, where there was a gunfight, good guys versus bad guys. And I got the job because I had an athletic background. I played a lot of sports, football, baseball. I was a pole vaulter. I was a springboard diver.
Wow.
And so I did these things up until college. And then, so I had the background. They hired me, and I did that summer job. And I fell in love with what was stunts. And I go, they're paying me to play. They're paying me to act like a old gunfighter. And I was getting shot off a balcony 14 times a day and getting in a fist fight and shooting guns, with blanks. And I go, wow, they're paying me to do this. So I pursued it from there. And after that show ended, the guy who put me to work lived down in Orlando, Ben Rossi. And I told him, I said, if you have any other jobs like this, I'll move. I'll follow this. I want to keep doing this. Finally found something that was exciting. And he called me up a few months later and said, hey, I'm putting together a live show, a live stunt show at Disney World down in Orlando.
Hey,
you're down here, I can put you to work. And so I sold everything I had, all my apartment furniture and my stuff, and got a 1972 Winnebago camper and towed my little Pontiac Fiero.
I remember those.
Yeah, I had one of those. And I moved down there and moved into Yogi Bear Campground. That's where I lived and worked, as out of a camper at the campground to get started in the business, because I was going to do everything and anything to pursue. And so that was sacrifices. I mean, that was a big sacrifice and a big gamble. But I took that chance. Wow. And then once I started doing that show down there, I was, they, like the first year, they had a TV special where they needed a guy to do a little rob a bank and get shot off a balcony for one of the Disney shows. And so I got my first taste of doing TV work in 1986. And I was doing all these live shows for years and years with Disney, but slowly trickling in there were films and TV shows. And I'm like, that's where the money is. It's like you only have to do the stunts 1 or 2 times or 3 or 4 times versus every day, 14 times a day.
Man.
So this is kind of the long version, but it's important to know that I set a goal to this. I'm going to do stunts. I'm going to become a stuntman, and I know there'll be highs and lows. And I just started learning from the old guys, and it was slowly started coming in, and then got a couple good breaks. I doubled Anthony Perkins, who played Norman Bates in the original Psycho movie by Alfred Hitchcock. And I doubled him in Psycho 4, in 1990, and then
Yep.
and then my next big break, and then I quit doing live shows. I started a bungee jumping business, and I was skydiving every weekend. I was just doing other fun things on the side. And then the next big job came in was Forrest Gump. So in 1993, I got doubled to double Tom Hanks, and they called up and said, "Hey, we want to hire you as a stunt double. Are you good with swimming and running and jumping and doing this?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're going to pay me to do that."
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was cool. So that movie, after shooting it, things just started changing, and I said I got to move to LA, and I moved to LA.
Yeah.
Two people. One of them being Lee Waddell. People know him.
Oh, yeah.
So Lee was instrumental in my early career.
Okay.
Known him since 1988. And I moved to LA, and it's been downhill ever since. No.
No, quite the contrary.
No, I worked hard. I sacrificed, and I was always training, and things happen. You break your leg, you're out of work. You got to do something. You got to survive. And I always said, this is what I'm going to do. It's not I'm going to try to do it. This is what I'm going to do. And I think that's important when you're making decisions. Because even today I meet young stunt people who say, "Hey, I'd like to try doing stunts," and they don't realize, but they've already kind of set themselves up for possible failure by just saying it in that phrase, "Try doing stunts," versus "I'm going to become a stuntman. How do I do it? Where do I go?
Yep.
What do I do?" So
that's right.
Trying versus doing are two different things. So it's really in the mindset, and I'm glad I had that mindset because that got me through the ups and downs. But it paid off because I was really blessed with working on over 160 films and TV shows.
Wow.
Thanks.
Amazing.
I now consider myself retired. So after the accolades of there was a thing where I got nominated to be in the Stuntmen's Hall of Fame. I was inducted into that.
Yay! Awesome job! Congrats, man.
Yeah, a few years ago, and then I've been a member of the Stuntmen's Association of Motion Pictures, and recently was voted in as a lifetime member. And so there've been some real blessings, and some it's been a fun ride, and I wouldn't have changed it for the world. So that's the long version how I got started in the business.
I love that version. I learned something new tonight. I didn't realize some of those details. So that was new for me.
Yeah.
And hey, we finally have the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
Recognizing a stunt category coming up at 26 or 7. How do you feel about that, man? That's so overdue. It's ridiculous, but they're coming around.
Well, Stephen, if you really want to know.
Yep, I do.
Yay, finally, about time.
Right.
But, okay, this is 2025. It comes out next year.
Mm-hmm.
The other categories have been there forever.
Yeah.
And we all deserve to be there, from best costume to, your actors, they're the talking heads. They're the ones that you watch, but the music and the editing and, direction, but makeup and costume, they're so important, but stunts have been always very important. And why they didn't recognize us. I have theories and heard things, but in a nutshell, and I'm not saying anything bad, but
Yeah.
is that lots of times, because let's just look at it. Films are made to make money. Okay, they're not.
That's true.
They're made to make a profit. So you need people to buy the tickets to go to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you think that Joe Blow, actor, does, you hear, he does all his own stunts, you're probably going to go going, wow, he does all his own stunts. But really what I wanted to say was, if you knew how much stunt people did for their actors, you would be less impressed with the actor.
Yes.
And it would sell less tickets. And I think the actors in the studios didn't want to give credit to stunt people because they didn't want to lose money going, well, the actor really didn't do that. That was the stuntman. So we've always been the unsung hero. We got into business. I know I did. It was not to be a star, not to be recognized. Not,
right.
I just like the cool work we did.
Yeah.
And so that's my theory on why it took so long. But finally, we're here. We'll just celebrate that.
Yeah.
We'll celebrate that. And
yes, my gosh, finally. I was so excited when I heard that news. I'm like, man, now they just got to do the right job in picking the right people, because not everyone's going to get nominated, which is a shame too. But it's a start, right? It's a start.
Yeah, it's a start. We'll go with that.
We'll go with that. Yeah. All right, so let's jump in now to kind of what I've been promoting out front is, of course, your work on the Scream franchise. You got to work in Scream 1 as Matthew Lillard's double, which is great. We'll talk about that. And then Scream 2, you were front and center, my friend. Ghostface, Scream 2. And I would just like you to you could choose the short or long version. I want you to have freedom. But how did that happen with getting to meet Wes Craven for the initial Scream film?
Sure, the initial. Well, the first Scream 96, whatever you want to call it, because it's a lot of people refer to that, and I get it, because there's how many Scream?
7's coming out.
Well, there's seven films, and then there's TV, and there. Well, but the original of the trilogy, actually. But the original Scream in 96, I got called to do the stunts for Matthew Lillard. And it wasn't much. It was entailed a little fight and tussle at the end of the movie after stabbing, when they were stabbing in the kitchen. I attacked Nev in the hallway, and we flip over in the hallway.
Yep.
Then I chase her and crash over a sofa that's been torn up by feathers.
That's right.
Wes was so brilliant, because you saw him cutting that pillow up earlier, scene in the background. People don't realize that, but that made that, because the blood and the feathers flying. So
yes,
so I dive over that, and then eventually I get the TV crashes over my head. So Sydney pushes the TV off the stand. It crashes over my head, and I get electrocuted. Now, that's what I had to do, and that's what I did. And I was working under Wes Craven's direction, but hadn't officially met him yet. He's like, just kind of gave me some directions, and you're gonna get electrocuted. And he said, TV's gonna crash over you, and you're gonna get electrocuted. Okay. So that means a lot of electricity going through me. I'm gonna jerk and squirm and finally just kind of go still. Yeah. And so that's what I did. It was a prop TV. We can go into that later, but it was a cool prop TV that crashed over my head. It had this protection in it, so the sparks that came out the back wouldn't hit me in the face, because it was just so close to me. So there's protection, and then the sparks went out. and I get electrocuted. I jerk around, then I go limp. Now, and then scene, the scene's done. Then so let me add a note right there, because Wes Craven didn't instruct me, give me notes that I was dying. He said you're getting electrocuted. So, did I die? Is the $1 million question? And I don't know the answer. I know what the director told me to do. Just get electrocuted. Because if you look up electrocution, people get electrocuted all the time. It doesn't always mean you pass away.
That's right.
So I'm just passing on that.
Yes,
that's really important there.
It's very important.
I think I'm probably the authority on whether he lives or he's alive or not.
I think so, my friend. So what do you think, man? Do you lean one way or the other? Or are you like, hey, it's 50-50? Or is there, what do you think, man? Is Stu alive? Because I'm the conductor of the Stu train, Alan. I'm a Stu truther, my friend.
I know you are. I want to leave my bias out of it in one way or the other and only go on facts.
Sure.
And the facts I've just explained to you.
Yep.
Now, I think Wes is he was a brilliant director and an awfully kind man. I'll go back to when I didn't officially met him. But he doesn't do anything by happenstance. So,
that's true.
So for him, he knows the answer. He knew the answer. Probably Kevin Williamson, the writer, probably knew the answer. But once again, it's making a movie, and you don't put all your cards on the table, and it's no fun if you knew what was going to happen when and it's going to happen, and so using that, me personally, my theory, this is not by facts, but by all the pieces I've seen, he very well could be alive because. Because how many times have you seen somebody now? Because I'll go into Scream 2 in a little bit, but I also doubled Timothy Olyphant, Mickey, the character Mickey, and I got in the very end scene at the theater scene with the fight with Laurie Metcalf and Nev and the other and Courtney. We're seeing where he gets shot and he's dead on the floor. Okay, the scene continues doing stuff, and then he comes to life. And then he gets shot again, and it's me getting jerked backwards into these boulders.
That's right. That's so cool, man.
So
that's so awesome.
So the point I'm making there is you can die and come back. So so wrapping up, my first time actually shaking Wes's hand was right after the TV was crashed over my head, and I had blood on my hands, fake movie blood. And he got up his director's chair, which is just right there, and he was like, "That was a great job," And he stuck out his hand to shake my hand. My hands were in film blood is really sticky. It's like corn syrup and then some other mixers they make it out of, but it's sticky, and you don't want to get that all over the director's hand. He's the director. He's Wes Craven.
Yeah.
And I remember pausing just for a beat, like, I'm sorry, I can't shake your hand. My hand's all bloody, just for a second. Then it clicked. It's like, wait, this is Wes Craven. What about The Nightmare? What about the other horror films? He's seen a ton of blood, so he didn't care about one bit. And so that was my first meeting of him. It was just like I didn't want to get his hands bloody.
That's so awesome, man. I love it. And it's just go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just saying, because that was a great segue into Scream 2, because because that's all I did on Scream 1. And I was blessed to do that. And then Scream 2 came out and like, well, we need you to double Timothy Olyphant. It started with that. It started with my first day on the job was doubling Timothy, and then they're like, well, have you played Ghostface? I'm like, well, okay, whatever. So to go down the Mickey trail, the Timothy trail. So the things I did were at the end of the film, at the theater scene, at the fight scene with Sydney, and then eventually I get shot, and then there's a little cable gag that you don't see the cable, but it jerks me back up into those backwards, upside down. I think my feet were high, and into these boulders and stuff. And that was neat. And it was neat working with Timothy, because I went on to work with him for many seasons on a TV show, Justified, later on.
Love that show. Oh, so good.
Yeah, I did too. And he was so cool to work with, and we did cool stunts. So
yeah, a lot of stunts in that show, man. I mean, a bunch.
So so now they said, we got the scene, we need you to play Ghostface. Well,
wow.
I'm trying to think which came first. That was coming out of the bathroom. That's iconic.
Yes.
You see that iconic picture everywhere. I'm like, gosh.
Yes, so awesome, man. Look at that. A great shot.
So
we've got Omar and Jada, right, coming in.
That's right. So it was set up for that you'd be like, well, we don't like them because she was being a little bit crabby. That's a nice word.
It's true. She was.
She was being a little crabby. Well, why is she doing this? Why doing it? So you kind of wanted to shut her up. Omar, he was just a good boyfriend. So the first thing I did there was killing Omar.
Yes, that's
so
right.
We're shooting the bathroom scene, and the deal I remember was, first they had me take the knife in the stall and then scratch the wall to make a sound. Now, and that's what eventually he's going to react to and listen. It was cut later in the movie. What came out in the movie, they didn't use that knife scratching sound. It was like inaudible people's voices. It was kind of something you kind of want to listen closer, but it wasn't. So originally it was a scratching of the knife sound. So originally I did that.
Okay.
Then we set it up for me to stab the stall divider, where he's gonna cut to him on the other side. So he's not on the other side, but I've got to stab that divider. And Ghostface in Scream 2 is left-handed. A little trivia if you didn't know that. And so when you see him, he's stabbing left-handed.
That's a really good point.
Which is a challenge too when you're right-handed.
Yeah.
And you have to do things with accuracy and precise, and which I'll get to in a second when I grab Jada Marine. So I stabbed the door, and then I had to make my exit out of the bathroom stall, and I open the door and I look left and I look right, or I look right left, but I exit to my right, and that was that scene. But that was the very first kill.
Yes.
Now coming up for the second kill. And by the way, the opening scene kills just a second. The opening scene kills in the Scream movies are iconic. You know what 100%. Lee did, right? Lee Waddell killed, Drew Barrymore, opening scenes, Scream 1. It just surprised everybody, Now
yes.
So those opening scenes are really a feather in your cap, because you got to do them, and they're usually really good. So I was fortunate to do that. So Happy was killing Omar Epps in the bathroom. And then I come out. Now we shoot the theater scene where I'm going to stab Jada Marine. There's her character name. The particularly challenging things were that I'm right-handed. The killer's left-handed, and I have to I'm crouched down the seat, and on cue, when she discovers she's got blood, I lean forward and I quickly stab her. And that doesn't sound like a hard thing to do, except for the ghost face mask is mesh. It sticks out away from your face, which you lose peripheral. It's dark.
Man.
You got flashing lights in front of you because of the theater. They'd taken Jada's wardrobe and it had a small little target. So I only had a very small area to hit, and I had to hit that because they put a pad underneath it. So back then, our knives, we used retractable knives. Now we've got technology. We don't have to have the whole knife. They can paint the knife in, digitally add it, and there's a lot more. But we used the retractable knife that you had to hit with a little bit of force so that knife would retract.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you couldn't gently do it. You had to do it. Now I had to hit her just below her breast and just above where her crop top stopped. They put a little leather patch, and it was just a tiny little thing.
Wow.
And I had to do that. I just had to do it with muscle memory, kind of, just to look, because I couldn't lean forward and look, identify where I'm going to hit, and then throw the knife in there. That's not what we wanted. It was just a quick. So didn't sound much, but I just remember being like, "Oh my gosh, don't stab her in the wrong spot."
Oh,
You're getting crabby with me. She was nice with me, but I didn't want to give any reason. And then so that was challenging. And then it was just fun because Wes told me distinctly, he said, each time you stab her, because she's going to get up and she's going to work her way out to make her way onto this and die in front of the theater up there. I want you to stab her multiple times, but each time you stab her, I want you to give a different look. And that blew my mind. Like, I got a mask that doesn't move. How do I give her a different look? I can't go, ooh, ah.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So
what a challenge.
It was a challenge, and I'm not a particularly trained actor,
Mm-hmm.
But at that moment, I did draw from that like, how do you make that come to life? How do you make a ghost face mask come to life? Well, it's in the motions. Well, it's deeper than that. It had to come from me and had to come from deep inside of me. I had to think like a killer. I had to think about what I was doing. Originally, I wanted to kill her, wanted to stab her. So it was very rigid and very distinct,
Okay.
And then she gets up, then I stab her again. But now, after I think it's the second one, in my mind, I go, I've got her now. Now it's just sport. It's just sport.
Yes.
And then I started laughing in the mask, and you can see it where my head goes back because I was trying to make this expression come out. There you go. That's it. So
yeah, and you're literally laughing, Alan.
I'm literally just going, I got you now, and I'm just having fun with it.
Awesome.
So that's a little insight into that whole scene right there. That was
wow. So cool.
I'm just fortunate I was able to pull that up, and instead of having to get Wes Craven going, somebody get this guy an acting coach. I was able to pull it out. No.
I'm sure. Did Wes give you any feedback after that? I'm just curious. Did you get any?
I don't remember any feedback from there. No.
Well, obviously he liked it, or he would have reshot it again.
Yeah,
right.
No, sure. He would have said, do it again, do it different, do something.
I
don't, he probably gave me some feedback and, like, hey, good job or whatever, because he was so kind. Anytime you dealt with him, he was polite, kind, smart, mild-mannered. I didn't know what I expected when I first met him, because Wes is just this horror director. You think somebody's gonna be screaming and just be a nightmare.
Right.
I don't know why we think that. Maybe
I know.
but when you meet him, he's just the opposite, and that's a true professional because he's not a killer. He's a very very good director, and that's what he was. Is he had fun and let people have fun, so it shows on the camera. Very similar to Clint Eastwood in a way that if you have a good set, and people are happy on the set, they'll give you a good product. You get a good performance out of people.
Yes. Awesome. Well, you know what? Hey, let's take a little break here. It's a great break point. We got a super chat, so let's get to that. So Sarah has sent in.
Why don't I see that? Oh, there they are. Oh,
yeah,
I was on the wrong thing there. Holy smokes. Hello, everybody. Sorry, I was on the wrong page there, dude.
Oh, that's all right.
Ghostface Man 6 and Super and DJ plays favorites and go on. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. No worries. Sarah, thank you so much sending in a $10 super chat to support the channel. Sarah, I really appreciate that. She says, Alan, thank you for being here. I saw a quote of yours on your website that always stuck with me. When the end credits roll, will you have lived your life to the fullest? I think of that often. And it's awesome.
Yeah. That I thought about that when I put my website, and I was doing public speaking because I speak on fear and how to challenge your fear to live a more fulfilling life. And I'm like, it was just when I said it, and I'm like, that's it. That's a cool saying. Well, thank you for liking that. Thanks for looking at my website, and thanks for commenting. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone here in the chat and watching it on replay tomorrow or the next week or two or month or two from now, whenever you're watching this, please click the links in the live chat because they're all there. We want to make sure we all go and follow Alan on Instagram, and we want to check out his website, as Sarah is talking about. Great stuff there. So definitely go and do that if you haven't done so already. Sarah, thank you so much for your generous support. And I appreciate it. And what a great quote, Alan. That is that's something to ponder. It goes pretty deep if you allow it to.
Yeah. Marrying that with the film terminology, I thought was apropos. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Real quick.
Appropriate. I don't know which would be
apropos.
Yeah, not apropos. Appropriate. Okay. Appropriate. I try to use fancy words that I don't even really know the meaning. So disregard my literacy.
Oh gosh. Funny thing is, most people probably don't know either. So they just be like, I agree. Yeah, that's true.
Well, it's funny is I'm accused of making up my own words all the time.
Yep.
And I get that and somebody said, that's not a word. I go, yeah, but you know what I meant, right? And they're like, yeah. I go, well,
yeah.
Why do I have to, it's a curse I live with. I can make up words. No.
Oh gosh. Hey, we also got real quick a couple of channel anniversaries. Amber over at Necessary Distraction has been a channel member for 28 months. Wow. Unbelievable. Thank you so much. Over 2 years, you're supporting the channel every month faithfully. Just, hey, Stephen, hope you're well. Thank you, Amber. I'm working towards that end every day. I appreciate you asking that, and thanks for being such a loyal supporter, Amber. We go back a long, long way, and I'm glad to see you here tonight, so that you can enjoy Alan's appearance. And talking Star Wars, hey, look at there, 14 months as a Cravenite. Fantastic talking Star Wars. He says, stab that like button. Yes, please. If you have not hit the like button on this stream yet, please do so now. It helps the algorithm of YouTube send it out to more people so that more people can see this live and in replay.
Stab.
So, yeah.
Stab the like button. I like that.
Stab it. That's good. Thanks, Talking Star Wars, for your support every month. It means a lot. You help me to keep the lights on. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's get some stabbing material. So
Ooh,
we got Scream 2 theater knives
dude.
in a nice, beautiful buck 110. And this one was
Wow.
so nicely given to me as a gift from a Screamathon last year, and it was just
Wow.
nicely engraved my name on there. But
That's so
uh, these
nice.
are not used in the movie, but identical to the type we used in the movie,
Yes.
including this plastic one.
That's so cool, Alan. I love that, man. That is so nice when you have little goodies like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, and that Buck 120 right there was beautiful. It's got the wood handle to it
Oh
instead of
yeah,
the black.
yeah. Did I say
Very
110?
nice.
I think I said 110, but 120. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, sure. We understood. We understood.
Well,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
120, 121, whatever it takes.
that's right. Whatever it takes. Sarah says, very cool. Yeah, it is. Really cool
Yeah.
stuff. Oh my gosh. Now I want to just do a quick well, first before I do that, is there anything else you wanted to say about your Scream time with Wes or anything else overall?
Well, there was a couple other scenes. I won't get into details because it'll be save it for a later date. No, but
Okay.
one of the most intense and was in the recording studio when I was chasing Courtney Gale right there.
There it is. Yes.
Because that scene, Wes really let me go to town, and it was to build an intensity. So as I started chasing her, it's a peekaboo game. I'm push down a rack of something, and then peek, and then I see her, and then she disappears, and then I disappear, and it started off very kind of like that, and then it got more intense where I end up just grabbing stuff and throwing it like I was on the other side of the recording glass, and there was a time where she's on the other side, but I'm separated by the soundproof glass. And I had permission to do this, but not to this degree. But in my desperation trying to get to her, when I see her there, I picked up a chair in the recording studio and I threw it as hard as I can against that glass. They told me I could do that. Otherwise, it would be bad if I broke it. And the chair bounced off the glass, came back and hit me and doubled me over. And it was kind of like, okay, don't do that. Don't do that again.
No,
we won't do that. That didn't make the movie, but it was because I was just going in rage. I didn't even think about it. I was just, it's just like, what would you do in rage? You don't think. You do. And so that was a fun scene, just building an intensity and the rage there.
Yes.
And then there was a scene also I did in the sorority house. She goes back to get her phone, and I appear, and then I go and I I stab the front door, which comes out the front of it, and nearly hits some.
Derek, yeah.
Yep, and then I ended up chasing her, and we chased, and she went one direction, I went the other around the room, and then I had my intensity of trying to meet up with her. I hit the couch, the sofa, and I fall over the sofa onto the ground, and then she gets away, and that's fun because I love falling. So
well, it's funny that you should mention that because Paula had a question about that scene. She said, was the trip over the chair planned in Scream 2? That's the exact scene we're talking about.
Paula, that's a great question. Because not a lot of people think about that, but in that case, yes, not like some of the other stories, but it was because it needed to be the camera needed to be able to see it. I was prepared for it. I had to make sure that I'd hit it correctly for the sofa to fall over, which had to be kind of jimmied up a little bit because some sofas you wouldn't be able to fall over. I would fall over it, but it needed to. So we rigged that, and I hit it, and I don't know how many times I did it. It wasn't a lot, but like I said, I like crashing through things, so that was a fun one. That's a good question.
Yeah, for sure. And I gotta tell you, this sequence here, with the whole recording studio from the beginning to the end, it is heralded in the Scream fandom as arguably the best and most intense chase scene of the franchise.
Oh,
I mean, that's regularly spoken about.
oh, wow.
Seriously, yes.
That's wow. That that warms my heart. I mean,
It's true.
that's huge. That's
Yeah, man.
it's something, when you're making a movie, you don't see the whole thing. When you're making a movie, you don't know how well it's going to be. You don't know if it's going to do good at the box office. You don't know if that scene's going to be edited, chopped up. I've done stuff I thought was masterpieces, and it just half of it ends up in an editing room floor. There's a lot of factors in there, the editing and the direction. But when you do something and then you later hear like that was good,
Yes.
it's good to hear, because you don't hear that on the scene when you're filming it. Compared to when, like I said, I started doing live shows. In live shows, you do, with this cool stunt, yay! And you're like,
yes.
oh, I enjoyed it. Good, I got a little feedback. But doing a film, it's like, you do it, cut, okay, great, we're moving on to the next scene. You might get a attaboy. Yeah, good job. All right, now get ready for the next thing. And that's it.
Right. That's it.
So,
you don't know. Well, I'm telling you that.
Tonight,
that's
you saying that makes me feel good.
Well, I'm glad. I wanted to make sure you were aware, because we routinely talk about it here on my channel and other channels about, what's the number one chase scene in Scream franchise, and it's Scream 2 Studio. It's just, I mean, that's always at the top, if not the very top.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so just, I hope you take pride in that, because that's all, that's you, man. That's you. That's your movements. That's your cat and mouse. And
I remember I had leeway in that too. Wes directed me, but it was like, he wouldn't tell me, okay, peek around that corner. Okay, pick up the chair, do that. He didn't micromanage that. He let me go crazy. And so.
Love it.
Wow.
Yeah, man. It's true. Hey, we got a let's see. In fact, Phantom Rain says we need more of those scenes. Alan chasing Gale in the studio is one of my favorite moments ever. Easily top 5. Great work, Alan.
Wait a minute. One of my favorite moments ever, or the top 5. Which is it? No, I did.
I was like, wait a minute. Yeah.
Phantom Rain. Yeah. That's cool. No, I'm joking with, and thank you very much. But I was like, well, geez, my favorite, or at least the top 5. Hey, to be in your top 5, I'm honored. So,
hey, man, I tell you, absolutely.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's good. Good stuff.
Now, here's a question that Kenny is asking, and he says, was Alan in the suit when Ghostface grabbed Randy at the van?
That is a negatory. That's
okay.
That was not me.
Okay, fair enough.
And
fair enough.
I don't know who that was, because just for those that know, they know, but there's always more than one Ghostface in the movie.
Sure.
For a reason. I didn't know that at first when I was doing it. I'm like, well, I'm available. Why are they doing that scene? But I did majority of the kills and stabs in Scream 2. So I can take that, but I didn't do it all.
Hey, I mean, while Randy the killing was important, but you did the scenes that I think really packed the punches. But like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'd like to do something a little different. Is we're going to move away from Scream, guys, for a minute, and we're going to talk about a movie. It's not horror, So don't freak out, everybody, and leave. This is okay. But it's a really good movie, and it's one of my I thoroughly enjoyed the film, and it's a film, you guys should remember this. It's called Sully, and it was based on the true story. And I just thought it was very well done. And come to find out, Alan, you played a big part in this movie. Could you kind of help me or explain to us, rather, how this opportunity came about and what you did?
Wow. Well, I got the call to once again work with Tom Hanks as his stunt double.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, this is possibly film 6 by Sully, because I did one after Sully. So this is I got a call because I've worked with him in the past, and somehow I can get away with gaining weight and doing things, and I can look like him. But they hired me.
Okay.
It was Tom Hanks is playing Sully, Clint Eastwood's directing. It's a story about Captain Sullenberger landing the plane in the Hudson River, and everybody survived, which I think everybody saw that. And the miracle on the Hudson is what's referred to.
Right.
And so I'm like, great. What am I doing? Well, it's not a lot. Okay, fine. I mean, and you got some running. Oh, I've done that for him. You get some work in the water, and that's primarily it. The running in the water. Well, great. I did that in Forrest Gump. I was swimming and running in that too. So I do see a pattern here. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I get there, and we start shooting in New York City, and I get there, and they're like, well, Tom has got his hair bleached white to look like Sully, because Sully's older and he has got white hair. I'm like, okay. And they're like, can we bleach your hair white like Tom's? And I'm like, absolutely, because my mantra is hair grows, money doesn't. So
that's so true.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And it's quite a process to bleach your hair, to strip it of all color. And then I think they add a little this blue tint, so it doesn't look white. It looks like old person. But that was quite a process to start with. Now I got a new haircut, and first thing I had to do, in the movie. Well, first of all, working with Tom anytime is always a pleasure. But now I'm working with Clint Eastwood, and the first time I met Clint on the movie, we were in the middle of the Hudson River on a ferry boat, one of the same ferry boats that actually did rescues on that real day.
Wow, that's awesome.
And it's just me and another stunt woman, and it's Clint. And Clint's asking me, he's getting to know me. Okay, I'm starting on the film. He doesn't know me, and I'm Tom's double. And he's like, we're just small talk, and I'm telling him how I did this stuff for, doubled Tom on this show, and I doubled him on this, and did this and this. And he paused a minute, and he was like, have you ever doubled me? And I was dumbfounded by that, because I'm like, I know he knows. I know his stunt double.
Yeah.
He's much older. And I was just, he's very nice and congenial, I hope, because I was like, oh, no, sir, But after I left that meeting of him there, I was like, oh, wait, I should have shared with the story how when I got started in the business in the 80s, when I was doing these Western gunfighter shows, people said I looked like Clint Eastwood because I was tall, slim, and had a little bit of a scowl. So my character, I would model after Clint Eastwood, and people said, you look like him. And I go, gosh, I should have shared that with Clint when I had that meeting, with him, because rare to have one-on-one time, personal with Clint.
Yeah.
So a few weeks later, we're back in LA shooting at Universal Studios, and I found that perfect moment inside. We were shooting interiors of the airplane. And I found a time where it was just him and I got to share that story with him. Now I tell that story because later I get a call from the stunt coordinators doing this movie called The Mule, and the movie The Mule was directed and acted, in the star was Clint Eastwood, and the stunt coordinator calls me, goes, "Hey, I was looking and I'm going to need a stunt double. I think you'd make a good double for Clint Eastwood." And
Wow.
I responded by going, "Well, Clint thinks I would." And I got the job.
That's so
So I ended
cool.
up doubling Clint Eastwood in.
Wow.
So going back to Sully, so I was, one of the first scenes was running out in traffic, and like it's a cab or a car that almost hits me, but he's in his head daydreaming after having these flashbacks, the day after, and I run out in the street and nearly get hit by a car, and it was just really nice that Clint, really, he gave me a lot of thanks for that. He goes, "That was a great job," and then coming from him, anything, it was, I'll cherish that moment where he was like, "Thank you, that was a good job. It looked good." Well, it should have, because you run out in traffic, you don't, you got to time that right, not to get hit. So that was good.
Yeah.
And then I did some stuff in the water, exiting the aircraft in the water in Universal Studios. So that was my experience on Sully, but that introduced me to Clint. And then, to me, it's one of my highlights of my career. I didn't do a whole lot, but Clint Eastwood is a generation that there's not, maybe he may be one of the last of that generation.
Yeah.
His filmmaking style is what's so impressive. It is like no other director I've ever worked with, Spielberg or Zemeckis or anybody else I work with. But he shoots short days. He doesn't do long days because he doesn't beat up his crew. He seldom does more than 2 takes.
Wow.
Because people come to work with him very prepared. And so they know what to expect. So it's not like a director who may get 10, 15 takes out of you and is beating them up. And you have long days. He does shorter days. Everybody comes really prepared. So, and the volume of the set on the day when you're shooting, lots of times in between scenes, the volume gets kind of high. All the departments are talking, "Hey, hand me that over here. Get ready for that. Put that over here." And then and then the assistant director will say, quiet on set, and everybody brings it down. Well, Clint's sets never go above talking level. So, and when you're rolling, you have to watch people because they'll be in the background going like this, because you won't hear somebody going, "Rolling." And he doesn't, and many times I watch him, and then with me too, he doesn't say action. He'll get with you and go, "Okay, now just go when you're ready." And it just presents this really cool way of directing. So is it, young filmmakers, if you're thinking about, watch his style.
That's cool. I did not know that about him.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Amazing. Yeah.
Wow. Man, I tell you what an amazing career. I mean, you've done so many things, and it's like you say, 176 films. We're not even scratching the surface here tonight, but excuse me, pardon me. To have been able to work with an icon, Clint Eastwood. I mean, Tom Hanks, legendary actor. Norman Bates, Anthony Perkins, excuse me.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Timothy Olyphant is even, I think, one of the best out there still.
3 times doubling Jim Carrey.
And Jim Carrey, that's right.
Well, Jim Carrey over there.
There it is, the Riddler. Yes.
The Riddler.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, do you ever just take a moment, because you're a very humble man, you're a very humble guy, and I love that about you, man. And but do you ever take a moment, maybe in private, and just reflect and think about this, and say, maybe, you know what, God is good. I did it. I did it. What I wanted to do, I did it at the highest level.
It's funny you should ask that, because it wasn't until recently. Because when I said, I'm slowing down, I'm retiring, um, I started reflecting, and I go, why am I just kind of realizing some of these really cool things when I didn't really think about it before? And I realized in the business, it's such a hustle in the business. You get done with one film, you're looking for the next. You're middle of one, you want to, you're preparing, you're training, you're consumed in the business of the business. And I don't remember like looking where I'm at. It's always looking for the next job. How can it be better? How can I, be a better stuntman, stunt coordinator?
Yeah.
And you don't stop and look. I didn't, and it's not until recently, maybe the last couple years, that I kind of now and as I talk, and I do interviews and I do conventions and I did I mention a win in Vegas, by the way?
We're about to hit that. Yeah.
See that? See that little segue? It wasn't until I started talking about that I kind of went, yeah, that was pretty cool. It's like, I didn't. I knew it was cool when I did it, but I don't stop and look at it and go, wow, 7 films with Tom Hanks, 3 with Jim Carrey, and work on two of Clint Eastwood's films. I mean, it's like, okay, that's I'm okay. I'm okay retiring. I had a great run. Now I can.
Yeah, you sure did, my friend. My goodness.
Yeah. And then the interesting quick little note here is because we don't, in the entertainment industry, in particular stunts, we don't choose our jobs. When we get a phone call, we take the work. You can't go, who's in it? Is it going to be a good movie? Is it going to be bad? Or, we don't, if somebody calls you up, it's like, hey, I'm there to do a job and do my best job. And you don't, so we do a lot of jobs that a lot of people didn't see the film. Then we get a couple hits. Fortunately, I hit a handful of hits.
Yes. So awesome, man. Well, listen, we're gonna segue real quick into an event coming up, and before I do, I need to acknowledge one more channel anniversary. Jen Werner, my friend, has been a member for 34 months now as a channel supporter of this channel. Jen, thank you so much for your faithful monthly support to help the channel keep the lights on. Says, good evening, Stephen, Alan, everyone in the chat. Well, good evening to you, Jen. And thank you for your faithful support. You're awesome. And I appreciate you. But now I want to talk about something that is coming up in August. And it is, let me take this off here. You can see it. There we go. Ghostface Legends Unite for a one-night event, Alan. And it is, the streams just got all day bigger. So why don't you tell us here, Alan, what this is huge.
Yeah.
We talked about it back in March. I know you guys had to reschedule. And so let's remind folks that weren't here then too.
Well, it's called, this is kind of interesting graphic in front of it, because it's called A Night of Screams. So down at the bottom, A Night of Screams is really special because it's the Ghostface from the original trilogy. Lee Waddell, you're talking to me, amazing Jeff Brockton.
Yes.
Lee was in 1, I was in 2, Brockton was Ghostface in 3. Now, because the original Scream movie was originally designed as a trilogy, 3 of them. So to have the 3 of us who did like the opening scenes, like I said, those are always special, that were the primary Ghostface. We've never all been together at once. That's something to start with. But it's an exclusive event, and it's an evening of with just the guests and us and photo ops and autographs, and you get to ask questions. There's there's so much I'm leaving out here.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's vendors. There's gonna be a
well, yeah, but see, what's really special about this before this event, because this is a nighttime event. Before this, during the day, we have I think it's called Slasher Market, and Slasher Market is so that's now they've got tons of vendors, they've got live entertainment, there's photo ops, it's kid friendly, there's a mini horror film festival. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. So it's an all day from the morning to the evening, but it's two separate events. So Slasher Market, if you go to that and get into that, you got the whole market and get entertained. Then I think 7 o'clock starts our exclusive, night with the three of us, and that's going to be exclusive and intimate. So, question and answers event, and
so I love this clip screening, Alan. You can do a clip screening and Q&A, and you'll get to hear behind the scenes stories of making the films. And also, people have a chance to ask questions directly, which is awesome.
But like we're talking now, kind of questions, not
and
that's what makes it special, and that's why I'm excited about it, because it's you go to a convention and you get limited time, you get a quick second, and then so it's unique, it's great. If you're a real fan, I know you got to get there and you got to stay somewhere, and you got time to figure it out. It's August 30th.
Yes, and it's going to be at the
Plaza Hotel, Hotel and Casino. It's like in the old town part of Vegas. It's a cool place for that. But remember, to get your tickets and to get more information, go to, remember this, guys, spookybabyevents.com. It's right there in front of us somewhere.
Got it right here. There it is.
There we go, spookybabyevents.com. And I think the vendors would be really cool. I've seen a little, I don't know, if everything's solidified, because some of these were cool like sideshow acts and stuff. So it's gonna be quite an event, during the day. And I'm looking forward to hanging out, going there during that. So you'll see me during the day with that, and then we have the night of screams that evening. But what a cool concept! I've never seen anything like that. That's why I'm pretty excited about it. And this. In the fact that the three Ghostface have never been in the same room together.
Nope.
This will be a first. So this will be a first. I've known Jeff for a long time, and like I said, I've known Lee since I was a little baby, baby stunt guy. But I've known Jeff separately, but not from any of the Scream franchise. But we've worked together on other films in the past.
Okay.
But the three of us have never been together, and that's going to make it special. So. Anyway, I just be a big shout out if you have the opportunity to start making plans for that. It sounds like it's going to be second to none, one of a kind. I wouldn't miss it if I was a Scream fan, but I never really cared for the Scream movies anyway. So wait, what?
Wait a minute, hold up.
My humor gets me in trouble all the time. Of course, I'm a big fan as just about anybody. Are you kidding me? I know. When they say something, Stephen, I was looking at some of the questions over here. One that stuck out was like, will I be back as Stu's stunt double in 8?
Yes, I was going to throw that up over here. I got it right here. Yep.
I didn't work on 7. I don't know. I'm retired now. Would I come out of retirement? I wouldn't say no. Okay. So I don't know. and there's a lot of
Okay.
factors determining whether you're hired or not.
Mhm.
I
What
if I
about stunt coordinator? Would you consider
no,
that?
no,
Oh,
I'm burned
okay.
out doing that.
Okay.
I did so much of that. It takes so much of your life away. I love it. I was good at it.
Mhm.
I don't desire that part in my life anymore. It's kind of interesting because you can do something so well and hard, but it just you get burned out, and it's like,
Sure. It's
yeah,
true.
it gives me headaches. No, but yeah. So no, I'm kind of trying to keep in the retirement mode. I
Sure.
enjoy going to the conventions. I enjoy meeting people. That brings me
Yeah.
greater joy than working on the set. I've done that,
Mhm.
for 35
Ooh.
plus years.
Yes. Yes.
I'm only been going to conventions for a couple years, and I get more joy out of face to face meeting somebody, talking to
Mhm.
them, and
Yeah.
giving them the experience. So
Absolutely, man.
that's
That's
where I'm at. That's yeah.
yeah. And I had one last question because this is the question that came in, and actually, I'm curious about it too. Um, I saw, that you worked on The Game, which is one of the most amazing films. I absolutely adore that film, and I've seen it probably 10 times. Um,
Um,
so what was your work on that film? What did you do specifically?
well, I was a stunt rigger. So
Okay.
on that film, I was never on camera, so you wouldn't see me.
Okay. Okay.
I rigged um, a couple scenes, and I'm trying to remember. I know what I did. I'm trying to remember in the movie.
Mhm.
One was crash into rigging a person crash into like a glass ceiling skylight.
Yes. That's the finale.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm
Mhm.
responsible for a good part of that.
Wow.
And then we did some other falling stuff that we actually used a crane and lifted a person up, and we used the sky as like a green screen. To,
Oh, okay.
we slid into a blue sky, uh,
Yeah.
lifting the guy up with a cable, and shooting down below, and uh,
Wow.
so yeah, and I don't remember where that was used in that.
Well,
And
could
where
it
else?
maybe it was Michael Douglas's father that jumped from the rooftop. It was daytime.
Maybe so.
That might have been
It's,
it.
yeah, sometimes
Wow.
and sometimes I don't know the whole scene when I do stuff. I know the scene
Mhm.
I'm doing. I know what I'm rigging. I know, I get the directions. Here's what we're doing, but I don't necessarily know how it fits into the movie.
True.
And I haven't even seen all the movies I've worked on.
I cannot believe it. I believe it, man. I mean,
Um,
come on.
and some of them, it's because I've read the script. I was there every day. Um,
Right.
I know the story. There's not gonna be any surprises. I you know,
Yep.
um, and it just and so speaking of that, I'm a young filmmaker. I'm working on Forrest Gump. They gave me the script. I read the script multiple times. I go, this is stupid. It just didn't read. It did not read well with me. You don't see
Yeah.
the whole picture. You don't see the movie with the music and the way it's edited and the way that
Mhm.
everything blends together. So I joke about that because I'm like, this is a dumb movie. Well, it did pretty
Oh,
good. It
wow.
did pretty
Yeah.
good out of my ignorance. Yeah.
Hey, man, and I'm so glad that you were, had a part in such an amazing film in American film history. It's a really big one.
Yeah.
So this has been awesome, Alan. I just want to thank you so
Uh,
much for coming back
yeah.
and spending time with us again. And it was a true joy. And I hope you had a good time, man.
No, it was boring. I kind of heard
Alan.
crickets.
Oh gosh, man.
Oh, I like to have
Uh,
fun, and I always have fun on your show. You got great audience. You're and the people have grown. You got a huge I mean,
Yeah, it's been
I
blessed, and
I would be very distracted to kind of go through everything's um, comments
yeah,
and stuff.
it's hard. Yeah, it's hard because
Yeah.
but it's a pleasure to do it. And hey, we're almost at 13,500 subs. We're almost there.
What?
I'm like 20 away.
13,000?
I'm 17 away from 13,500. So I'm inching towards at 14,000 next. So
You're amazing. I'm not surprised. I mean,
oh well,
you do good work, you get good response. So, people
yeah,
don't subscribe if they are not
right.
getting what fulfills them. So
That's true.
it's a testimony to you and your show and your guest, except for tonight. Um,
Oh, come on now. No, no, no. Alan.
um, I
Well,
don't know.
thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
so yeah. So hats off to you. It's always a pleasure.
Yes.
And I hope everybody was entertained or learned
Hmm.
something or had fun as much fun as I and you did. And
Absolutely.
thank you, and um, oh, that's nice. Ghostface 96,
That's
sweet,
right.
sweet, yeah.
Sarah's
Uh,
saying goodbye as
Sarah,
well.
you're amazing, Sarah. You're cool. Always love seeing you there. Julie, thank you. Thank you guys, you two, for putting everything up behind the scenes. I know you're doing all that
Mhm.
chat there. That's busy work. And
Yeah,
it's
it
very
did.
nice.
It is. Keeps me on my toes. Yeah, there's definitely a lot going on.
Yeah. So I just want to
And
this is the last shout out. Don't forget about the Night of
yes.
Screams event and go to that Spooky Babies event
Yes.
.com. Check it out. Any way you can make it there. If you do, gosh, I should do something special for that. But if you do, make sure you reach out to me and let me know you're going to be there, so I can take the time
Hmm.
and say, hey, I saw your interview on Craven Something Scary, and
Yeah.
I'm here tonight, and I will go out of my way to do whatever I need
Oh,
to do to thank them.
that's
Because
awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you, Alma. That's very kind. And guys, yeah, do that, please. If you're able to go. Yeah, and listen, there's flights. I mean, Southwest is running a flight right now, like 50% off fares. I mean,
yeah,
it's you could get a cheap airline ticket now.
it used to be
And
expensive to go to Vegas. I know because when I was
yeah,
younger, I was going there, but the Southwest flights are going. I don't know how many they have per day, and
yep,
then you get great deals on hotels if
right.
B and B's. People forget about that. I've gone to major cities in the
True.
past, and it's like, wow, the hotels are kind of expensive, and you look up. Here's a nice B and B for a fraction of the cost, or those hotel
Wow.
suites. So if
Yeah,
you want to put a little work into it, you can have something cool. That's what I always say.
that's right.
If you want to work at it, you can get the cool shit. That's right.
Yeah, that's all right, man. That's all right. All right,
And
guys. Well, yeah, if you guys go, let him know you're a Cravenite. Let him know
yeah,
you were here, so that he'll know you're a very special person
yeah,
coming from the channel. So,
absolutely.
well, Alan, thank you once again, my friend. This has been so amazing as always, and thank you for going a little over on time. We started a little late, so
But we're
I
over. We're gonna have to take off some of that time.
we got to
Back
backtrack
it up.
it.
Back it up. I gotta stop sooner.
Oh gosh.
I
Well,
how can you stop? How can you stop or slow down when you're having fun? I mean,
hey, I swear I see it too. Exactly. It's hard to do.
and when you're having fun, time flies, right? I mean, we all
It
know that.
does.
You know,
It does.
and there's something about that. There's something to be said about that. So, I mean,
Yep.
hey,
Hey. Well, thank you for that.
yeah,
I'm so glad. And Alan, I'm going to meet you backstage, so just hang
okay,
tight. But for everyone in the live chat, be sure and share this out if you would on your social media, so other people can be aware of this amazing night with Alan and they can watch the replay. and hopefully they can also make a trip to Vegas in August. So I appreciate it, guys, but definitely leave the thumbs up button. I would appreciate that. And everyone, I will see you all soon on a new upcoming live stream. And Alan, I'll see you backstage. So go ahead.
Right.
For now, we'll say good night, everybody.